Welcome to another episode of From the Tide to Your Table. I'm Chef Mike.
And I'm Captain Dan.
And today we're going to take you through our offshore trolling bag and show you a few of our favorite lures and systems. So Dan, why don't you start us off today with, why don't we start talking about, I guess, Clark spoons, right?
Well, number one, we have one big offshore bag.
Right.
And we throw everything in there so that when we go from different species, we can just rip it off or put it on the boat. And in there we keep everything from spreader bars to Clark spoons, to your point, to daisy chains, to jet lures, a whole variety of offshore trolling gear. We really like Sterling Tackle. That's one of our favorite brands, and that's pretty much what we use exclusively. And we also, again, to mention what you said about Clark spoons and planer bars, we could start with that. Why don't we start with that?
So everything in that bag will catch everything for us, from bluefin and yellowfin tuna to mahi to Spanish Max
To bonita, false albacore, right, if they're out there. Yep.
Let's take a look at the Clark spoon system.
So this is a new system that we started using, and what it does for us is a couple of things. I'm just going to show you here. This Clark spoon, typically what a lot of guys do is they have it connected with snap swivels to the main line, and then the snap swivel from the planer to the lure. What this bridal system does here is it gives you the opportunity to take the planer off and have the line go from the main line all the way to the lure through the guides. Otherwise, you'd have to stop and bring your lure in or your fish in by hand lining it. Now this is just a short piece of line. Let me put this down, Mike, so we can get this other camera on it. So this is a short piece of line, or leader, I should say, that's going to the Clark spoon. But typically this would be 100 feet of line going from the tail end of the planer to the Clark spoon or any other light lure. It needs to be something that goes through water very without much friction. And again, this system here allows us to unsnap it from the bridle, and now the bridle will go through the guides and we can fight the fish. So typically, again, the planer would be about 100 feet ahead of the lure, and a lot of guys, they hand crank it in. We like to do this, take it out, and bring it in. And this is really super simple. If we're going to switch this rod up to do something else, some other kind of trolling, we could leave it on, but it's very simple to untie and just put on your other rigs.
Pretty slick.
Yeah, so that's how we do our planer bars. This is a size is this? I think this is a size 3. We've got typically size 3 is what we go with, and I just picked up size 2s, which look really neat because it's much smaller. I think it'll be a big enough profile to get the smaller spoons. Let me have a little small spoon here. Smaller spoons like this, nice and below the surface. Here you go. So that is our configuration for planers and Clark spoons, or even Cedar Plugs you control behind us.
Fantastic.
All right. You know what? Why don't we just go in order here?
Okay.
So another thing that we have are flatline clips, and flatline clips are used for bringing the line and attaching it to the hull of the boat, maybe to a cleat or something, so that there's the profile of the line going out to the lure is not coming on a steep angle into the wash. It's going more on a horizontal parallel with the water. So these are very useful, especially if depending on the configuration of your rod holders, you can get the line exactly where you need it, tie it off to the boat, and you can flat line it. And it's just like an outrigger clip, where when the fish bites, the clip releases, and now you're fighting the fish, and the flatline clip will just stay tied to your cleat. So flatline clips, essential for offshore trolling. So a simple lure, a jet lure, is part of our arsenal. Depending on how we're fishing, we may incorporate this by itself, maybe let it run way out behind our spreader bars or behind our Y trackers, which we'll get into in a little while. But this goes without bait. You could put bait on if you want. We run these just the way they are. There's about 50 feet a leader here, and this creates a lot of bubbles in the water. It's meant to ride maybe somewhere around the third wave, right, the third wake behind the boat. We could run it a lot further, but it depends on what kind of spread. So these are usually in our first or second attempt at a trolling pattern to see what's working and what's not.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but we do Ballyhoo with these, right?
Nope.
No?
We've done it with the Joe
Shutes,
Shutes.
okay.
Yeah. Let's do Joe Shutes.
So what bait would you put on that, Dan?
No, we'd run them. We've run naked.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Joe Shutes while we're on
So
the
Joe
topic.
Shutes is what we've been using for our Ballyhoo rigs, and basically what a Joe Shute rig is just like the jet lure, except it comes without a hook. There is no hook, and it's got a hole here, and you'll run a leader that's tied to a hook, and usually a Ballyhoo or some sort of strip bait. We get our Ballyhoo pre-tied. We're not really good at tying Ballyhoo. We should get better at it. So they save some money. But this is what we caught. The first yellowfin of last year was on the Ballyhoo. Actually, the first hit. That wasn't the first fish that came in, but it did hit the Joe Shutes on the Ballyhoo. So blue and white is one of my favorite colors. We only have blue and white with the Joe Shutes. We have a few others that are similar to this brand in different colors, but blue and white's just very versatile for us. Works in good sunlight conditions and low light conditions.
Fantastic. And while we're on the subject of Ballyhoo and bait in general, big shout out to Bait Boys.
Yeah.
Great company. You call a couple days ahead of time, and they will drop
in the New Jersey area.
Yeah, in the New Jersey area, and they will drop your bait at the dock. It's
and
high
ice.
quality
And ice.
And ice. So big shout out to them. Love them. All right, let's talk about Cedar Plugs, Dan.
So you know what we forgot to say
What?
on the Clark spoons? Can you give me a Clark spoon?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So on the Clark spoons, we typically are catching bonita, false albacore, and Spanish mackerel in the New Jersey area. That's what's hitting our spoons. Our Cedar Plugs, really versatile, super light. We control these on the surface, subsurface, with a drail. I never tried it with a planer bar, but these we've caught everything from tuna to mahi, and definitely the bonita. We've been very good
Kill
with
the bonita.
Yeah, just a simple piece of wood with a hook, J hook style, and these things are really good performers.
And this may sound insignificant, but when we put them away, we just kind of roll it up and we kind of attach a rubber band so that it's always neat, ready to go, rinse them off, and it just keeps it better organized.
It's one thing that we've got in our trolling bag is a lot of rubber bands. For a couple of reasons. One, to put our rigs away. Two, for flatlining. You can use a rubber band if you don't have a flatline clip and rubber band your rig to a cleat or something like that.
Yeah. All right.
So this one's just a typical daisy chain. Let me hold it up first. There we go. So obviously these things are to try to fool the tuna or the fish that are in the water, and basically your boat looks like a school of fish, and these look like bait fish that might be injured and trying to catch up to the school. So these are obviously all hookless. So if you see folks grabbing daisy chains, there are no hooks here. The last bit of the business here, the business end of this, is a hooked rig. Sorry, Mike. And this one has a similar Joe Shute pattern to it. You could put bait on this. We typically run them without bait.
Okay. Fantastic. All right. Next on the docket, again, Sterling.
So yeah, this is just another daisy chain with a squid pattern, and again our rubber band to keep these things from getting tangled. Now Sterling tackle, these things track really well. They're great performers. We are always running them. This one's got the little bird at the front to create a little bit more disturbance in the water to help it track better. And this obviously is something that will run on the surface. We're not going to sink something like this at all. I do have one that we will sink. Yes, Mike.
Put it in front of the camera.
Sorry.
These?
Yeah, let's go to our spreader bars. So spreader bars, this is not spreader bars.
Oh.
This is just more of the same.
All right. Yep.
So these are just different colors. You can see all the different colors we have on the single and daisy chains. So we've got pinks, yellows, green, blue and white. Now, this is one of our favorite rigs. Let me undo this. Actually, let me show this camera. This here says starboard, and what this here is a Y tracker by Sterling.
Couldn't fish without him anymore.
I don't think so. So what this is meant to do is it's got the bird in the front, and I don't know if you can see this in the camera. I'll hold it down here. There's a rudder. Basically what this does, it forces this rig to go to the starboard. So if you don't have outriggers, or even if you do have outriggers, this will sail or what's the word I'm looking for?
Track out.
Track out. It is
pretty much.
Y track.
It almost replaces putting lures and things on a outrigger.
Right. So we do run these on the outrigger. They're tough on the clips of the outrigger. It's doable. We've done it. I like to run these from a rod in the gunnel, and actually they go way out, and then they come in two different patterns. Obviously, this one says star for starboard, and the one in pink here in pink, this one says port. So you have to run it on the port side of the boat because its rudder is going to flank out to the port side. So these are super productive. A lot of guys you'll hear on YouTube are using the Sterling tackle. They love it. Sterling Y trackers, I should say. So we bought some imitation kind. I think we bought a different set that wasn't Sterling, and it just didn't work the same.
It didn't work the same.
It was a knockoff.
We needed to get purple. Purple was a hot color.
Yep.
And we ran out and just grabbed the purple, but it wasn't even close to the quality of the Sterling. So, you know, you talked about putting the Y tracker on the outrigger, and towards the end of the season, you went out and got a better clip. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Well, yeah, our outrigger and clips. I don't have the brand in front of me. Actually, I can see our outriggers right there outside. But super important to check your outrigger clips. The hours were popping. They were worn out. They were about a good 5 or 6 years old. So I'm not really sure how often you should replace them, but we went out and bought a nice set of outrigger clips. Easy to adjust for the right tension. And again, if you're going to do the Y trackers, you want something really cranked down, because those Y trackers put a lot of pressure on the line.
Yeah, fantastic. So just to wrap things up here, as far as pre-checking all your equipment, like the clips, make sure your clips are working before you head out there, and then you don't have what you need. In the kitchen, we call it mise en place.
So let's just open this up. This is just one of our larger spreader bars. This is, I think, about 24 inches. And let me just see if I can unrig it a little bit. But it's, again, just imitating a school of fish. You've got the bird action that'll go at the top. And this is going to let all these different baits drag through. They're all hookless except what we call the stinger, which is typically going to go at the end. And this, there you go. And again, this is baitless. I don't really know if guys do bait them, but we don't. And this has got a little bit of weight to it to try to sink the sinker a little bit below the surface. These are very productive. A little bit harder to manage when you have a fish on the end. You've got this whole big rig to contend with. We do okay with them. I'll let these go out on 2 rods, typically on the outriggers, and let them go not way back, but probably 3 wakes out. And then again, the side trackers in the gunnel, and let those go out, and they typically may even go beyond what our outriggers do.
And as far as the side tracker was the big hit for us for tuna this year.
Yeah, that was it.
By far, I think every fish, right?
Yep.
So, fantastic. So folks, thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode of taking a look at some of the offshore gear that we use. And hope to see you in the water soon. This is Chef Mike.
And Captain Dan.
Practice, selective harvest.